morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here at SpaceCom to address what is a topic very close to our heart, which is the commercialisation of space. I've only got a short amount of time, so there's about three things that I would like to leave you with. The first one is Australia is not new to space. We've been doing it for 50 plus years. And going to the theme of SpaceCom today is that we are an extremely industry-focused space agency. And the third part of the message today is that international collaboration is central to our purpose. So going straight into the purpose, the Australian Space Agency was set up on the 1st of July 2018, and we have a purpose to transform and grow a globally respected Australian space industry that lifts the broader economy, inspires and improves the lives of Australians, and it is underpinned by strong international and national engagement. But before I jump into what that purpose statement means, just a little bit of history for us. So we saw images of Neil Armstrong in the wonderful Houston video this morning. Not many people realise that those images actually came from Australia. So that's the first area where we've had a lot of expertise and continue to do that through our organisation known as CSIRO or CISRO, as many people refer to it here in the US. The second point I was going to highlight is that we were the seventh country actually to launch a satellite in 1967, but importantly we were the third country to launch a satellite from our own territory. So I think we've got a little bit of heritage there. Been a bit quiet in the middle, but now we have an agency up and running. We really are here to drive the growth of the industry. The important part of what we're trying to do in the Australian space industry goes to some of the points that my colleagues at the Department of Commerce in the US were talking about yesterday, about how do we get the story of space beyond the space community into the broader community. And so you'll see in our in our purpose statement that we talk about lifting the broader economy. So what we're focusing on is some of the topics that you've actually seen in the sessions today, and that is about how can we use satellite data to improve agriculture. How can we use GPS to improve the resolution and improve robotics? Again, that can be used for agriculture. In other areas, we can use Earth observations to assist with things like bushfires, as we would call it in Australia, or forest fires or wildfires here in the US. So that's a really important part of going and explaining how space is relevant to everyone's lives. The other part that's really important to what we do is that we're all about making sure we have a nationally coordinated vision, and importantly that the international and national partnerships are the way that we see our opportunities to grow. So quickly on our responsibilities. So we are the key agency that provides advice to our government on the ways to grow the space industry. Importantly, we're about to coordinate our domestic civil space activities. So we've got a long heritage. We have great organisations that are involved, whether it be organisations like CSIRO that use our Deep Space Network to support NASA activities, through to Geoscience Australia that undertakes an array of information such as improving augmentation of satellites to improve the resolution of GPS, through to our startups and companies that do things from new rocket hybrid technologies to IoT devices that communicate with satellites and actually improve the effectiveness and efficiency of infrastructure management and agriculture. So there's a vast array of opportunities for us. What was missing in Australia was a front door, and we, as the agency, are the front door for international engagement. The other two bits that we will focus on is we look at the regulatory environment. So in any space activity, it's important that we meet our international obligations and meet our national obligations around activities such as launch, international launch certificates, etc. And importantly, nothing inspires like space and dinosaurs. We have space, and we're really getting a great reach out into the Australian community with a cumulative reach of 25 million people in the space of five months. And while we only have 25 million people and there's some double counting, it just shows the level of enthusiasm we have in Australia for space. The other part that I want to talk about is where is Australia going to focus? We know there are a lot of international opportunities, and we know there are a lot of opportunities and activities underway internationally. So what we are focusing on, things such as the communications sector and ground stations. Australia has a very large landmass in the southern hemisphere, and it means that we can receive every GPS or GNSS signal that is there, and means we have the expertise to run ground stations. Importantly, with that landmass, we are also playing a big role in space situational awareness and debris monitoring. With PNT, or the GPS story, our Geoscience Australia organisation is going to take the GPS signal from what is around 5 to 10 metres, and if you're in a city with a cellular tower, it'll get it down to a resolution of around 3 centimetres in something we call satellite-based augmentation systems. And the other bit that I'll talk about is the robotics and automation part of the story. And importantly, there were topics on this today. We have a huge mining sector. Our mining sector, for example, on the west coast, operates its mine, which are 1,500 kilometres, so around 1,000 miles away, and the activities are undertaken autonomously with robotics, and that means that when they're working at that distance and also working in harsh environments, because they're usually in a desert type environment, there's a lot of synergies in what we do in our mining sector that can be applied in space. So that's where we see some of our opportunities coming forward. And the last message I'll leave you with, so we're 5 months old, but we haven't stood still, and we've been up and running and doing a whole range of activities. Our goal is to triple the size of our economy as it relates to space, and that is moving from around $4 billion to $12 billion, and also creating up to another 20,000 jobs. And it'll be through focusing on a range of our priorities and where we've got competitive strengths. Importantly, we've reached out internationally already. We've signed 3 MOUs within 5 months with counterparts such as France, UK and Canada, and we're continuing on those activities with other colleagues such as from the US and ESA. We're out talking to industry, and as I highlighted earlier, we're very much industry focused about how do we grab the great industry capability we have in Australia, showcase that to the world, get into international projects where we can play a real role, and we're looking forward to working with all of you. So thank you very much for your time this morning. I've only got a short segment, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavour of what the Aussies can do and will do, and we look forward to working with you over the coming years to transform space as we know it. Thank you very much.